Here we are on another lovely day. Ready to have a discussion with you. Got my coffee. Hope you got yours. We're just going to have a good old time today. Today, I want to present to you a favorite of mine, a book. As you see in the title, The Quest to Be the Best. Now, this book is awesome. Okay, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Bishop Timothy Hart. I am the founder and senior pastor of the Church of the Ascended Christ, where we follow Christ to the throne room. Now, get some homework out of the way. You know, we got some projects coming up. We want to try to rescue some folks, namely we the children. If we can work with them, if we can get the adults to come together and do something, we can rescue our children, and hence form a base to rescue our community. So, if you want to contribute to this cause, you can send it to the Cash App. Cash App is A-Dash. Be generous. Be generous. It's only going to benefit you. Okay. Next week, we'll be talking about tithing. And I know most of you folks think, okay, well, yeah, I know that he's going to talk about getting in our pocket. But trust me, when I finish with this, it's going to change your whole life. We are also broadcasting on YouTube. So you can go over there, check out the channel. There's several other lectures, several other videos that you may want to consider. I try to be as informative as I possibly can without being judgmental and without talking down to people. But the truth has to be made known. Okay? And any material you use was used by the Use of Fair Act. If you want to, you can look that up. It says that if you can use it for educational and informative purposes. Okay? So, with that being done, let's dive into all right. Now, one thing that I've noticed with our people is that we hoop and we rejoice when someone does something good, and that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing in its entirety. It's not a bad thing in its entirety because we encourage each other. We want to encourage each other. We want to keep you pushing. If you're striving, we want to keep you striving. It is much better than the alternative where people are hating on you and talking bad about you, and you're not doing anything but following your path in life and being successful. Today, we want to talk about the quest to be the best. Now, the book that I'm coming from today, of course, all right. Yeah, right. There we go. All right. Here we go. I'm going to share my screen with you so you can see it. All right. This is the book. This is the book. It is called The Three Strategies of War. Now, I want to encourage you today to be open in your mind and understand that spirituality is the process of divinity manifesting. And it is divinity in action. That's what spirituality is. It is divinity in action. All those things that happen in spirit, understand that spirits inhabit all beings, all beings. And so to be spiritual means that you have embraced the connection with all things, and you have acquired the ability to control and manipulate your environment to a degree. Now, we all have to operate within God's will. Just want to make that plain, okay? If it's not in God's will for you to do it, then you probably need to stop trying. Are you listening? There are too many people doing too many things. I just have to say that right in the front, because we are under the belief that we can do something, and because we deem it right, we can get God's approval on a thing. And let me be the first to tell you that that's that's not something that's going to happen. Right into me. That is something that is just not going to happen. So, as we get started with this, let me tell you where you can find it. You can find it at www.pdfthrive.com. Okay. This is where you can find this book. Now, I want to encourage you to be a study warp. Many people, sometimes things are pricey and costly. We understand. We want to support the office the best we can. But until you can get past a certain thing, sometimes you need to find other sources. Okay. And many of us have completed our studies using this particular website, because it has textbooks in it. It has works in it that you probably wouldn't find in the store. Or if you're in a situation where your books are on the way and you need to study and read, this would be a good place to find the work. All right. So let's keep going. We want to start with section. All right. Now, if you download this, what's going to happen is these are links. These are all links. So when you go here, it'll go right to the section you want to go. This is where we want to start today. We want to start self-directed warfare. All right? Self-directed warfare. Now, as I was reading the book, remember, many of these works are actually self-improvement books, but these strategies come from real live situations. And as you read through some, you'll read stories of people, and the author takes that story and uses it to convey his message. This is why we use fair use here, because there are other things that we can learn from the very same work. Now, let us read right here. It says, war or any kind of conflict is waged and won through strategy. Think of strategy as a series of lines and arrows aimed at a goal, at getting you to a certain point in the world, at helping you attack a problem in your path, at figuring out how to encircle and destroy your enemy. Before directing these arrows at your enemies, however, you must first direct them at yourself. Your mind is the starting point of all war and all strategy. All right. I want to do something right here. Let me highlight that right there. Can you see that? Your mind is the starting point of all war and all strategy. Now, for some of you out there who are Christians, and I use that term loosely, trying to be righteous from anywhere. If you read the Holy Bible, the Bible tells us what? That we don't wrestle against flesh and blood. Let me pull up my trusting, because I don't want to uh, get people off track. Okay. You don't want to get people off track. All right. Go here. Go here. All right. Let's go right to these scriptures. You don't want to mislead anybody. Okay, let me go with the regular James here. All right. It says, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, and spiritual wickedness in high places. And with that, people, we need to take a little break. All right. I'm back. Now, you saw what the caption said. Saw what it said. All right, let's go back. It says your mind is the starting point of all war and strategy. Mind that is overwhelmed with emotion, that is rooted in the past instead of the present, that cannot see the world with clarity and urgency, will create strategies that will always miss the mark. Listen here. I think I'm talking to somebody here. I think I'm talking to somebody here. Okay. With all of this, marching and all of this other stuff going on, let me say this to you people. Let me say this to you. Okay. You can march and march and march all day long. Let me be the first to say it. You can march and march and march all day long. But at the end of the day, if you are not ready to really do the darn thing, y'all are not listening to me. Let me get some other people in here. All right. Let's get some other people in here. If y'all are not ready to do the darn thing, you might as well sit down and be quiet. All right. Let's go to our friends on Instagram. Some weirdness going on here. Hmm. Wonder what's going on. Weird. I've never seen nothing that weird before. Anyway, let's see. I want to try to get some other people involved here. All right. All right. We are going to rock and roll. Okay. Let's make this thing do what it do here. All right. Now, we are talking about self-directed warfare from the 33 strategies of war. And the first thing that is in the chapter called entitled Self-Directed Warfare is your mind is the starting point of all warfare, all war and all strategy. The mind that is easily overwhelmed by emotions, that is rooted in the past instead of the present, that cannot see the world with clarity and urgency, will create strategies that will always miss the mark. Now, I wonder if some people are listening here, and it's because I'm talking to dark Americans now. Okay, I'm using the premise of the Nation of Islam. It's kind of sort of that when until you find out who you really are, you replace that last name with an X. Okay, and when you find out who you are and you find out what you're supposed to be doing, then you replace the X with your new identity. Well, guess what? We are not Negro. We are not blacks. We're not colored. And if you want to continue to subscribe to those things, then go all by all means go right ahead. I'm not gonna fight you on that because ultimately my disclaimer for anybody who knows me, who I've ever counseled, knows that I leave it with this. Ultimately, you're gonna do what you want anyway. You're gonna do what you want anyway. And there's no way if a person is really insistent on doing whatever they're gonna do, they're gonna do it. It is what it is. So as we continue in this reading, we want to look at the next paragraph, and it says, "To become a true strategist, you must take 3 steps. First, become aware of the weakness and illness that can take hold of the mind, warping its strategic powers." Say that again. First, become aware of the weakness and illness that can take hold of the mind, warping its strategic powers. Now, this is very general, but if you understand that procrastination is a problem, then you need to wage war against that. And sometimes we need help. Okay. Remember, the scripture says we are members one of another. And in being a member, remember how your body gets along. You eat something that doesn't agree with your system, the first thing that happens is your digestive system elicits a response. That response is heard and observed by every system in your body. If you get a bad stomach ache, the first thing that likely happen is all of the muscles will try to relax so that you'll sit down. You'll start feeling a little dizzy. You'll start feeling the pain, cramping. Those are signs that your body is at war. And so when that happens, the brain sends signals to the rest of the body. Listen, we don't want to damage this part. Slow down, sit down, whatever. And if you've experienced it before, your brain will send you back a response that says, you know what you've done before, go do that now. Are you listening to me? So the first one is become aware of the weakness and illness that can take hold of the mind, warping its strategic powers. Listen here, if you got toxic people in your life, that is definitely a weakness. If you have habits, y'all are not listening to me. If you have habits that make you have the can't help it, in other words, you have to go get it. You can't help but go there, do this, do that, spend the money on this. If you have habits that pull you in a direction that you normally wouldn't go, that is a weakness. Now, watch this. If you develop an abnormal passion for that thing, that's an illness. Are you listening? As a psychologist, psychiatry, and we understand that there's a book that the medical establishment has created for psychiatry called the DSM, the Diagnostical and Statistical Manual. Okay, and in that manual, you can probably find that you are deficient in so many areas, but some of that needs clarity. But just so you understand, okay, there are many things that can stop you from being what? From being the best. Now, once you understand this, here's number two. The second one is declare a kind of war on yourself to make yourself move forward. Okay. We all know what procrastination is. You know, we don't even need to go there. We all know what that's about. Okay. We know where most of our addictions come from. Okay. We know that we're codependent. And here lately, we're having this great division between black men and black women. I'll say dark American men and dark American women. We're having a great divide, and it is because there's a tendency for dark American women to not listen and do whatever they feel like doing. And then when somebody opposes it, they throw tantrums. And everybody's wrong in that fault. And so what do the men do? The men, they feel like they're in one or two places. If I want the woman, I just have to comply with her wishes. Well, if you comply with her wishes, you make her a retard. In fact, the correct word is sociopath. Are you listening? You can make a sociopath out of your wife or girlfriend by complying with her wishes when you know she's wrong. Okay? Let her throw her tantrum and then call it a day. Okay? And you keep it moving. Remember something. According to if you're, I keep saying this, if you're striving for righteousness, you got books that you read, and one of the books is the Bible. And the Bible says that Adam was made first in Eve. That same book tells you, and it told her that your desire should be to your husband, and he shall rule over you. Now, I don't know about anybody else, but I don't think that you can debate that. You can debate it all you want to. It is what it is, and it plays out. You know, I'm kind of up there in age now, and as we go and look through life, you know, I have found that there were some things that had I said no to, these people wouldn't have done. Like when the clothes started getting tighter and tighter, and it would appear that the girls were getting bigger and bigger. becoming more developed at a younger age. If we'd have said to those girls that, no, that's not acceptable dress, that's not acceptable behavior, I am assured, I am confident, I am absolutely positively sure that that would not have been a part of our culture. Guaranteed. Because people do things to get it to elicit a response, to get your attention. And once they get it, okay, now this is just simple psychology, okay? When I get something so when something is affirmed, that's what I keep doing. So as long as somebody likes it and tells me they approve of it, if I'm looking for their approval and they give it, and guess what? I'm going to continue to do that. Is that strange? I mean, is that confusing to some people? Because it shouldn't be. We all have done things to get the attention of someone, to get the attention of someone, and once we get it, we know how to kick it into gear whenever we want something. It started from childhood. You got hungry, you cried. You cried, made a noise, and mom, or if she's a good mother, they're good parents. They jumped to see what the baby wanted. Okay, and that's not to say that they were making a psychopath, a sociopath, but it's just the idea that when you love someone, you tend to want them to be happy, and they didn't want to hear their child crying. You can understand that. Guess what? You turn 18, 19 years old, you ain't a baby no more. Okay? And when you should be getting smacked in the head, there's folks that's giving you a pamper, giving you a diaper, giving you a bottle. Let me say this at this junction right here. Okay? A lot of us as dark Americans, we get upset when our kids get arrested. We get upset when our kids go to jail, and we act like it's so unjust. Well, how about this right here? What about you look around that child's room, and that's an indication of what kind of child you're raising? Are you listening? Either your child is completely pandered to, got the latest Xbox, $120 shoes, $40 or $50 pants, $60 shirts, got money in their pocket all the time, and you broke. Y'all are not listening to me. The things that child possesses is an indication of how you're raising that child. Makes that real simple. All right? Now, I want you to grab onto some stuff. The next one, the next chapter is declare war on your enemies. Listen here. I can't say this enough. I can't say this enough. I want to introduce you to a word if you're not familiar. It's called paradigm. Okay? It's called paradigm. The principles of life, there are levels. Okay? There's self, family, community, nation, race, world. So listen here, in waging war on yourself, you will win the war. You have a chance of winning the war with those issues that plague your family. And when the family as a collective do it, right? Wage the war, they could win the battle in the community. And when the community gets it together, they can win nationally. And when you win nationally, you can win as a race. And when the race wins, we can win around the world. But see, right now, we still got people crying and moaning over stuff. Okay. Now, let me say this and let me be the first. If you haven't ever heard it, let me tell you something. Slavery, it's a foregone conclusion. Okay. We understand that there are still some of the residual effects of slavery. However, being people who are a little bit stronger now, instead of taking that and using that as an excuse to be angry. That should be fuel to improve. Are you listening? Bible passage in the book of 3rd John, it says it is God's will for you to prosper and be in health as your soul prospers. Okay? So the idea here is, if I know that I have a problem, if I know I have a challenge, guess what? Once I start working on that, my soul will follow suit. If you start working on your personal self, your world will change. And it has to change, because part of your problem is how you looking at it, how you looking at the world. Y'all are not listening. You, how you're looking at the world is part of your problem. Okay? You got to learn how to, okay, well, I'm not going to, let's further down, right? Let's read this right here. Life is an endless battle and conflict, and you cannot fight effectively unless you can identify your enemy. People are subtle and evasive. Wait a minute, hold it. Let me hit that right there. People are subtle and evasive, disguising their intentions while pretending to be on your side. You need clarity. Learn to smoke out your enemies. That's the first thing. Learn to smoke them out. Beat the grass and startle the snakes. To spot them by the signs and patterns that reveal hostility. Listen here. What have I been saying for the last 6 months? I've been asking the question, what does it take for you to realize that person don't like you? And as a martial artist, listen, the creator gave me this creative ability, and I developed a martial arts system that allows my students to adapt to any opponent, from any system, from any style. Okay? And the one thing I tell them is, don't be so quick to give them stuff. See, whenever you attack somebody, you're giving them something. You're giving them information about yourself. Wait on it. Accept whatever they give you and respond accordingly. Okay? People tell you with their actions what they're after. Okay? People tell you with their speech how they feel about you. And it might be snide and offhanded. If you're too emotional, you can't see the difference between a joke and somebody throwing shade. So you got to stay out of your emotions. Ladies, that might be a little difficult, but guess what? The standard is still the same. You know, if you've been listening to me any extended period of time, the standard is always the same. That's what makes it a standard. It doesn't change because you're who you think you are, or because you want it to change, or because it's not opportune for you, or it's too much work for you, or you don't think that you have to do that. The standard is still the same. Okay? You need clarity. Learn to smoke out your enemies. Spot them by the signs and patterns that reveal hostility. Then, once you have them in your sights, inwardly declare war. So he's talking about not, listen here, keep your mouth shut. Keep your mouth shut. Okay? Stop talking so much. We have, as dark Americans, we have missed the boat so many times because we keep telling people we're trying to get on the boat. Stop telling people that just get on the boat. Just show up at the shore. How about that? See, because if you tell them you're going to get on the boat, they can manipulate the schedule. Hello, somebody. They can manipulate departure times. So guess what? Now you're sitting there stuck, mad, back in your emotions again because you missed the boat. Well, you missed the boat because you won't shut up. Okay? A lot of the things that happen in the Black community can be rectified in the Black community, but no, people want to tell folks. Y'all know Shanique will talk too much. Don't tell her nothing. See? Let me step this up a notch. It says, learn to smoke out the agents. Oh, what? Wait a minute. What? Let's learn to smoke out the agents and spot them by the signs and their patterns that reveal that they're spying on you. Wait a minute. See, I told you there's levels to this thing. All right? Inwardly declare war. As the opposite poles of magnet create motion, your enemies Your opposites can fill you with purpose and direction. As people who stand in your way, who represent what you loathe, people to react against, they are a source of energy. Listen here. You see, this is why you shouldn't be getting don't get too mad at folks when they. I'm learning that more and more every day. Don't get too mad at people when they do stuff. You know why? Because they're only showing you exactly what you need to be doing. Now, do we always attack it? No, because some of warfare has nothing to do with the attack. Some of the warfare has to do with positioning. Oh, wait a minute. Some of it has to do with positioning. And if you position yourself right, because you have what? Prior intel, your enemy may walk right by you. Sort of like you're running in the woods from an animal, or you're running in the woods from somebody, and you get behind a huge tree. You hear them coming. And as they're passing your tree, you're moving around the tree so that if they happen to look around the tree, they still can't see you. That's positioning. See? You're putting yourself in a better position so that you can do the most and the best and the most efficient work. Now, watch this. It says they are a source of energy. Do not be naive. With some enemies, there can be no compromise. Oh, I like this. There can be no compromise. There can be no middle ground. For those of you who are spiritual, the devil deserves no compromise. I don't care how good it tastes. I don't care how good it looks. I don't care how pretty she is. I don't care how handsome he is. I don't care how fast it is. I don't care how much money they're giving you. No compromise. You're not in it to make no agreements. If you got to win the war, guess what? You're going to have to do like Samuel told Saul. God told him to go in and kill everything, everybody, wipe it all out, cleanse it. But of course, you got your own mind. So you're going to bring back some offerings. You're going to bring back some chicks, some fine girls, and you're going to bring back the king so you can humiliate him, right? Inflate your own ego instead of just going ahead and do the process. Y'all are not listening. This is the story about Xenophon. You can read it. Uh, it's pretty good. Okay. Now, understand this right here. We want to go right to the end of this, and it's not. It's unusual to go to the end of a story in order to get it, but this is the synopsis of what he was saying. He says, I am sure not numbers or strength brings victory in war, but whichever army goes into battle stronger in soul, their enemies generally cannot withstand. Let me highlight that. Okay. So when you go to deal with any enemy, your resolve to vanquish him got to be stronger than his drive to mess with you. In fact, your drive got to be so strong that he starts getting scared when he knows you're coming. How many of you know the story of the samurai? I was watching the movie just the other night on the Last Samurai. Okay. Those guys fought so hard that their enemies were saying, wait a minute, holy, he actually thinks he can win this thing. Heck yeah. We're going to go into a fight thinking they're going to lose. Are they retarded or something? And that's how you got to be. You have to get in this war. You got to get in this fight, and you got to know you can win it. You got to know you can win it. Get rich or die trying. Win this war or die trying. That's the way it's got to go. Okay. And if it by some misfortune you do not survive it, guess what? You will win the respect of your enemy. And if those people who fought side by side with you hold their course, guess what? There will be a treaty coming, or there'll be some destruction. I'm here to tell you that. Right? Now, the next section, the inner enemy. This is a synopsis of this story. Okay, they break it down and translate what it was. All right, I want to stay with the principles right now, and it just is. It makes really really good reading. See, so here's the interpretation down here at the bottom. All right, so we're gonna wrap it right there. We're gonna wrap it right there. When you come back, we're gonna do this tomorrow. We're gonna do this until we get through with this book. All right. So I really enjoy doing this right here. And so what I want you to do is I want you to get the book, read it, and at some point we need to dialogue. Okay, we need to dialogue. If you are on Facebook, you can hit the link. Well, as soon as I come on live, you can hit the link and it will bring you right to here. Okay. And we can have our little chat. Okay. It's all set up and ready for it. I'm suggesting that you come here or go to YouTube. If you go to YouTube, you go to YouTube and YouTube at YouTube, the the page, the page is King of Kadesh. Okay. If you go there, okay, then you can, there's a live chat stream that happens there. We really need to talk about these things because time is getting short. Time is getting short. And folks are going to be so busy taking pictures of themselves and trying to look all cute and everything and trying to demonstrate how bad they are and all of that. And it's, we're going to lose. I'm here to tell you this, folks. We are going to lose. Okay. If we do not tighten up shit and start doing things the way things supposed to be done. We need to start acting like a nation if they're going to treat us like it. Okay. Now, go ahead and follow that. If you want to support this broadcast, go ahead and send a donation, $2, $3, whatever, to my Cash App. Because pretty soon I want to start growing this so that I can bless some people with employment, bless some charities. I'm there's some things that need to be done in the community, and I want to be able to be a blessing. Okay, if you have any questions for me, send them to send them to me at bishoptimhart@gmail.com. Okay. So the title of the day was "A Quest to Be the Best," Part 1. We're going to keep on moving through this until we finish it. Hopefully, we can get some people to come on and talk because we really need to. All right. This has been Meeting with the Bishop.